I live in the high rise right back here, and I seen them as they came down Lake Street. But then they turned and started coming over here, and I'm sitting out looking out my window, and they went straight to Office Max, the dollar store, and every store over here that I go to. I have nowhere to go now. I have no way to get there because the buses aren't running. These people did this for no reason. It's not going to bring George back here. George is in a better place than we are. And last night, I'm going to be honest, I wish I was where George was because this is ridiculous. These people are tearing up our livelihood. This is the only place I could go to shop. And now I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have anywhere to get there.
I know you mentioned, being in your home last night, and you did have some folks that were helping, holding the ground, and you see some cleanup right now as well. There are signs of hope, but I can see the frustration still.
When the National Guard came down 31st and they realized that they were coming down 31st, they tried to run in the building where I live at. And they couldn't get in because there was security there. And I'm glad they were there. Because if they had got in that building, there's no telling where they would have hid to stay safe and try to mess with us inside the building because we're handicapped. And I'm not trying to use handicap as a crutch, but there are certain things I can and cannot do. And for them to do what they did last night was just stupid. It was ignorant. Now what are you going to do? Where are you going to shop at? Half the people probably don't even live in Minnesota.
It's just a heartbreaking story, and there's millions of perspectives like this that just never get on most mass media that's fueling a lot of the hate and division right now. Also during this chaos, a Federal Protective Service officer died Friday night after suffering from a gunshot wound in Oakland amid the protests and riots. He was a 50-year-old man named Patrick Underwood of Pinole, according to a family member. He himself happened to be a black man. But you're going to figure out soon enough that the zeitgeist created by corporate-backed celebrities and mainstream media just doesn't really care about anyone's life like they claim to with their hashtags. They really just want people to agree with them and vote for them. In fact, here's George Floyd's fiance saying that he wouldn't have wanted this.
That honors Floyd.
You can't fight fire with fire, Everything just burns. And I've seen it all day today. People hate. They're hating. They're mad. And he would not want that. He wouldn't. He would give grace. He would. I stand on that today he would still give grace to them.
But a lot of media and celebrities just don't seem to care about these people. Well, that is, of course, if you do it to your own neighborhood, you do it to that handicapped lady I showed at the beginning of the video, or you do it to somewhere else that they don't live or own businesses.
And they went straight to Office Max, the dollar store, and every store over here that I go to. I have nowhere to go now.
Then they don't care. As soon as you hit too close to their home, all of a sudden, weirdly enough, they start caring like all the other good people who are concerned about it. Just a few days ago, Chris Palmer, NBA, said, "Burn that ish down. Burn it all down." Big fan of Atlanta Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. She's calling for peaceful protest, but that doesn't do anything. This ain't 1964. They don't pay attention until you start burning ish. But once it hit an area near him, his narrative changed. They just attacked our sister community down the street. It's a gated community and they tried to climb the gates. They had to beat them back, then destroyed a Starbucks and are now in front of my buildings. Get these animals TF out of my neighborhood. Go back to where you live. Yeah, burn your own stuff down, burn other people's stuff down, burn small businesses down. Just don't go near my gated community. Tear up your own ish. Don't come to where we live at and tear up our neighborhood up. We care about our community. If you don't care about yours, I don't give an ish. Now everybody's ragging on him on Twitter for being the poster child of hypocrisy. He's not the only one with similar views. Here's T.I. telling people it's okay to burn up other neighborhoods, but don't come to Atlanta.
When you don't get treated right in New York, when you don't get treated right in L.A., when you can't get treated right in Detroit, when you don't get treated right in St. Louis, when you don't get treated right in Alabama, Atlanta has been here for us. This city don't deserve it. However, I understand that a lot of others do. But We can't do this here. This is Wakanda. It's sacred. It must be protected.
It's Wakanda here, aka I own businesses and property here, please don't burn my stuff. Which is how this lady felt, but for some reason nobody seems to care about her.
This is the only place I could go to shop. And now I don't have anywhere to go. I don't have anywhere to get there.
Here's a nice guy trying to protect some children that will probably get drowned out by most media as well.
That this is Cincinnati police. This is not Minneapolis police. And what they're doing is just absolutely horrendous. As a member of city council, this is my first time ever seeing something like this. When this first happened in 2001, I was only 17 years old, right? I can't understand for the life of me what is going on right now in the city of Cincinnati. And I'm going to be here until these folks and the other folks are protected. Let me tell you something. There are people down here who are encouraging 14-year-old kids. These babies are 14 years old, man, and they're encouraging them to throw bottles at these cops. And these grown people are encouraging our babies to fight. This is not their fight. And I will give a how mad or angry you are with what is happening with the police. But these 15-year-old kids have nothing to do with this, man. And these cops, black cops, white cops, or whatever like that, they did not do anything. And I'm not here to take one side or the other. But what I'm suggesting to the people of Cincinnati is that what type of success are you going to have with attacking these people that have nothing to do with this? And what I'm saying is that you got people down here who are literally encouraging kids to attack cops. You're encouraging the kids to attack cops, and they're using Emmett Till. They're using Martin Luther King to justify why these 14 and 15-year-old kids should be out here. These are former students of mine. You see what I'm saying? I am imploring that before this pops and this gets bad, they're throwing bricks. They just threw a brick at the cops. It's wrong. I'm telling you, it's wrong. And I'm so nervous and I'm so scared for these kids. These are kids. There are kids around. There are kids across the street who live downtown in City West, and these people are out here encouraging them. And as an elder in the African American community, if any African American is encouraging these 14 and 15-year-old kids to be out here, they're wrong. That's wrong. These cops didn't do anything to George Floyd. This is wrong. I don't get how you see it. It's wrong.
Thank you.
And sorry for cussing.
And here's some unity in Texas that they don't want to show you. Black and white protecting their city and protecting their businesses. These are the stories that really bring people together. Here's Frances Fisher saying they want a race war. We'll give them a race war. I'm with Black Lives Matter. We will win. It's our duty to fight for freedom. It's our duty to win. She wants to give them a race war. Interestingly enough, she's a Jewish actress. So when something goes wrong with Epstein, Weinstein, or Donald Sterling, who all happen to be Jewish, it seems like a lot of liberals like to divert the attention to white supremacy and white Europeans, but when you criticize them too much, all of a sudden they'll use the shield anti-Semitic to make sure that you know that they don't consider themselves white, they actually consider themselves Jewish. So how nice of her as a celebrity to try to start a race war between white and black. Here's another perspective that I'm sure you won't see on television as well. Real quick, let's go back to Chris Palmer, who is now saying that there's criminals among the mix, and this is who's doing the crime, is criminals. Let me get this straight. Most protesters are peaceful, but obviously there's hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of people who are not peaceful and who are what Chris Palmer just said they are. And I'm sure those are the people who they are prioritizing arrests for. But once again, celebrities like Steve Carell, Justin Timberlake, Chrissy Teigen, and Seth Rogen are bailing out these protesters, aka rioters, from jail. I'm sure this lady will be very grateful for you doing so.
I live in the high-rise right back here, and I seen them as they came down Lake Street.
But these celebrities don't care. As long as you don't come near their gated community, they're just fine with you burning down your neighborhood or somebody else's neighborhood. And I know a lot of people protested in Beverly Hills, but trust me, the really wealthy people live in the hills. They don't live even in Beverly Hills, they live way up in the hills. And the narrative around this is just ridiculous. At first, Trump said it was thugs, many of whom are white, which we're going to get into, and the media just assumed that he was talking about only black people, which in my perspective is pretty demeaning to just assume that. So first they said calling rioters and looters thugs is racist because they considered it black people, and then they tried to say that it was white nationalists and white supremacists who were doing most of the damage, and then they said they're bailing those people out of jail that they just said are white nationalists and white supremacists. Nothing that they say adds up, but if you actually take your emotions out of the situation and political bias aside, nothing they ever say makes sense. They're the biggest liars and two-faced con artists on the planet who run these media organizations and who pump out this brainwashing entertainment content for decades, which has been destroying the minds of the youth, probably purposely. And I do find it very odd that businesses were closed for 3 months by the federal government, and the day that they were supposed to open, all of a sudden people started burning those businesses down. Amazon's doing just fine, Facebook and Google are doing just fine, Walmart's doing just fine, but now thousands of businesses aren't. Isn't that a little odd? Isn't it also a little bit odd that Facebook and other social media companies were deleting protests off their site when they were completely nonviolent, peaceful protests, protesting the lockdown in which the government was basically forcing you not to go anywhere? That's not allowed on our social media. But do they have a problem with this social distancing? Are they deleting these videos off of social media? Probably not. So if you think this is just random, spontaneous, and not being controlled at high levels to some extent, you're just completely delusional and caught in the moment. This is obviously a much bigger situation. And on that note, before we go, I want to play this very rare clip of Malcolm X explaining what he thought about white liberals and then also black entertainers and activists who were controlled by white liberals. Where if you really look at the situation,